The iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max might seem like incremental updates to many folks, but there's more than what meets the eye. Hi, my name is Arshad, you're watching My Smart Price, and I purposely kept this intro short because there's a lot to unravel. Well, this is our full in-depth review of the iPhone 13 Pro Max and comparison against the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. So before we move ahead, here's a quick message from the official sponsor for our video, OnSite Go. So the fear of dropping a very expensive flagship phone is directly proportional to its cost. But I have the perfect solution for you, OnSite Go's spills and drops / damage protection plan. Now, if you're someone like me who doesn't like to cover the gorgeous design of your phone or add to the already heavy weight of the iPhone 13 Pro Max with a case, then this plan gives you the freedom to do so. If by accident it drops and breaks, then OnSite Go's plan will actually repair the phone for you, and if it can't, then replace it. No questions asked. And if you're planning to use your phone for 2 to 3 years, which is generally the case with most expensive flagships, then OnSite Go's additional extended warranty plan should definitely be on your list as well, because that will give you complete peace of mind. Now, links for OnSite Go's plans are in the description below. Make sure to go check them out. And since our subscribers are awesome, like I always say, we have a special discount for you. Just use the code MSP20 and get a whopping 20% off. But before we move on, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever My Smart Price puts out an awesome new tech video, because we need all your support and we're trying to hit 100K really soon. So go ahead, hit that red button. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is nearly identical in design compared to the 12 Pro Max. You get the same glass sandwich design with a flashy smudge magnet stainless steel rail, and there's a new Sierra blue color which looks really nice. Although ours is the graphite variant, which is a classic and will probably find more takers. However, there are 3 distinctive changes. The camera rings are considerably larger in size to accommodate the larger sensors. It is slightly thicker too, making it wobble quite a bit on a flat surface. Now, a case like this official Sequoia green leather case I have here is vital. Now, the notch has been redesigned. It is now 20% smaller than before. One of the ways Apple has achieved this is by pushing the earpiece from the center to the top. Plus, the placement of the selfie camera lens has moved to the left instead of the right. Basically, there's a whole lot of rearranging of components on this notch, and considering there's no functional advantage to this smaller notch, for example, you really cannot add the battery indicator yet, I'm fairly indifferent to this move. Furthermore, there are strong rumors that suggest that the iPhone 14 Pro series will come with a hole punch cutout next year. So folks who absolutely detest the notch should probably skip the iPhone 13 series this year. Considering there is a larger battery and bigger camera sensors inside the iPhone 13 Pro Max compared to the 12 Pro Max, it is also 12 grams heavier now. In fact, the 13 Pro Max is heavier than the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra as well. And the flat sides don't help with the in-hand feel, which I firmly believe is better on the S21 Ultra. Now, I find it more comfortable to hold and use the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, and if I had to pick one phone in the Pro lineup, it would have to be the iPhone 13 Pro, because of course it's more comfortable to hold and use compared to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and apart from that, you don't miss out on much except for lower battery life, because every other feature that is available on the 13 Pro Max is available on the 13 Pro as well. Another design element that I want to bring to your attention is the Lightning port. With the European Union rule proposing that smartphones should be sold with USB-C chargers, there is a high possibility that Apple might have to make the shift to Type-C or go for a completely portless design in the next 2 years, which by the way is the time EU has given brands to comply. Now, I completely support that move, not just for the sake of uniformity, for one other reason as well, which is the Lightning port on the iPhone continues to top out at USB 2.0 speeds. Now, that's going to be a problem when the ProRes update hits later this year, because apparently 1 minute of ProRes video takes up 6 GB of space on your phone, which is possibly the reason why Apple introduced a 1 TB variant of the phone this year. That said, for proper professional work, even that might not suffice, which means that professionals shooting ProRes video using the iPhone 13 Pro Max will have to transfer the footage to an external storage, and that won't happen real time because of slow transfer speeds. Therefore, USB Type-C on iPhones cannot come soon enough, and Apple can very well do that considering the iPad Pros and the new iPad Mini are already on that standard. So overall, when you look at the design, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is an exquisitely designed, polished piece of hardware that screams premium. but so is the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, and Samsung's phone has better ergonomics to boot. By the way, if you guys have come this far and if you like what you see, don't forget to hit that like button and maybe even comment below so that the YouTube algorithm can recommend this video to more people looking for iPhone 13 Pro Max reviews. Now, the biggest upgrade to the Pro lineup of iPhones this year is the 120Hz LTPO adaptive refresh rate OLED panel. To my eyes, the jump from 60Hz on the iPhone 12, which I was using for the better part of last year, to 120Hz on the iPhone 13 Pro Max wasn't too drastic, primarily because iOS's default animation speeds are pretty good. Despite that, the same finely tuned scrolling inertia setting is a treat to experience with the new 120Hz panel. However, I do also really like the way Galaxy S21 Ultra also tunes its 120Hz LTPO panel, so I don't think anyone can tell one is better than the other. Anyway, there's been a debacle about how a few third-party apps cannot display animations at 120 FPS yet. Apple has confirmed it is a bug and will be fixed in a future update. In any case, let me explain the nuances of what's actually happening. In certain, affected third-party apps, the scrolling and full screen transitions are actually happening at 120 Hz, but there are certain animations that are not, doing it at high refresh rate. And in certain other apps like Zomato, where it's still stuck at 60 Hz, developers will have to add, a special code in their app to actually enable the 120 Hz speed. But my concern is gaming at 120 FPS, because that is where things will change drastically. I tried nearly 15 odd games that currently offer 120 FPS gaming on the iPad Pro, and I can only confirm one game, which is Project RIP, to be working at 120 frames. It has an option to adjust frame rates in the settings. On the flip side, a game like Grid, which offers 120 FPS in its Performance Plus mode on the iPad Pro, doesn't offer the setting on the iPhone yet. But yeah, I'm guessing this situation will change very soon, so let's wait and watch. Now, as for the color accuracy of the display, I don't even have to say it. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is just fantastic. So is the Galaxy S21 Ultra for that matter. In fact, the S21 Ultra has one advantage. It could achieve a higher peak brightness in our HDR test pattern inside a 9% window. Although I did measure a higher brightness on the iPhone 13 Pro Max when I pushed the brightness slider to maximum on both the phones. In fact, in daily usage, I can tell the iPhone 13 Pro Max is a tad bit brighter. So while the LTPO display on the iPhone 13 Pro Max is fantastic, the Galaxy S21 Ultra is equally good too. Honestly, you cannot pick between the two. Both the devices have great displays. The biggest upgrade on the iPhone 13 Pro Max are the cameras on the phone. For this portion of my review, I'm going to direct you to the extremely detailed camera test and comparison versus the previous generation iPhone 12 Pro Max and the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Pause this video and go watch it right now. For those who don't want to do that, well, here's a quick summary of the findings. Firstly, photographic styles are a legit useful feature that lets you shoot by predetermining the look that you generally prefer. It's like setting picture profiles on your mirrorless/DSLR camera. It can replicate the contrasty look of a Pixel or a cool look of a Samsung as per your preference. But yes, you cannot do it post capturing an image, because that would then destroy the details in the image. Plus, Apple does a very good job of maintaining facial tones across different styles, but sometimes there are issues with Indian face tones, for example, in the cool preset. Now, cinematic mode is fun to use. Yes, the algorithm needs to improve over time, especially when it comes to getting focus tracking right, but consider me a believer. The 13 Pro Max's biggest advantage is its clean low-light performance with extremely noise-free readouts. So yeah, low-light shots look very good, but I know that a lot of folks prefer brighter low-light shots. That's not what iPhone's going for with its default JPEGs. You can actually increase the shutter speed if you want brighter shots. What iPhone's going for is a very good dynamic range and a real reproduction of the night. Anyway, daylight shots offer close to accurate colors while shooting landscape photos in the standard photographic style. However, sometimes I did notice that human subject shots offer a warm facial tone, especially when shooting against the light. But generally, the facial tones were true to source. Portrait shots and edge cutout were great too, in fact better than the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now, the selfies on the S21 Ultra are better, no doubt, whether it is in daylight or low light. Smart HDR4 algorithm works very well to improve the high dynamic range performance on the main camera. But on ultra-wide cameras, it's a bit of a miss sometimes. Now, the ultra-wide definitely performs very well in low light, plus it doubles up as a macro shooter as well, something the iPhone has never had. I just wished we had a way to switch it off. Thankfully, Apple has promised an update for the same. But otherwise, Samsung has a better ultra-wide setup with sharper details and better dynamic range. Upgraded telephoto zoom now crops in closer at 3x optical zoom and offers good low-light shots thanks to the support for night mode. iPhone 13 Pro Max continues to be the king of smartphones when it comes to capturing videos, no doubt. And let's not forget, ProRAW is possibly the most friendly RAW capture mechanism on a phone. I've managed to achieve some fantastic final edits from ProRAW captures because it was convenient to use and I was using it more often too. I'm sure that professional photographers will appreciate the camera upgrades on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. It's definitely, technically a better camera system compared to the previous generation, iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, as for the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, in comparison, this phone definitely has better ultra-wide angle cameras in daylight, and of course, it continues to be the king of telephoto. Apart from that, one of the things that I really like about the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra is the selfie camera performance, which also is possibly the best I've seen on any phone, whether it is in daylight or in low light. Now, when you're looking at daylight samples using the primary camera, the details and the dynamic range performance are almost equally matched. Having said that, the iPhone 13 Pro Max definitely has the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra beat when it comes to video performance and of course color accuracy as well. Overall though, and I must make this point, regular users like you and me will definitely find it hard to pick one between these two camera systems on the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra and the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Goes without saying that the iPhone 13 Pro Max comes with iOS 15 out of the box. Now, it is not a major visual overhaul, so you might not immediately see too many changes. Having said that, there are definitely a lot of improvements inside iOS 15 that actually enhances the user experience by leaps and bounds. Siri now offers on-device processing and can work offline, and certain commands can too. It is blazing fast to respond to these commands. I have now graduated from using Siri for just setting alarms to actually performing system level changes like switching off dark mode, Wi-Fi, mobile data and opening apps. Hey Siri, open settings. Hey Siri, open Wi-Fi settings. Hey Siri, increase the volume to 100%.
This is as loud as it gets.
The new live text feature is a fantastic new way to directly copy paste text in the live world and paste it into your digital world, the iPhone. I find a lot of real world use for it. The new focus mode offers more control over your phone and lets you create customized modes depending on your phone usage. For example, in the work mode, only a couple of apps can send me a notification. All the distracting apps are removed from the home screen and only one contact can call me. You can also set shortcuts and automations to trigger it based on the time of the day and other complex configurations. Now, Safari has been redesigned now to show the tabs at the bottom. It is quite a bit of a learning curve, but it is more intuitive. Plus, you can go back to the old style if you don't like it. But more importantly, I'm glad that one can search between tabs now. There's portrait mode in FaceTime now and a new feature called SharePlay, which lets you watch shows or listen to music with your friends together while you're on the same call, but the feature is not here yet. Notifications have now been cleaned up slightly. You now have notification summaries, which are a good way to see a bunch of notifications together at a time that you'd like. While Apple continues to bolster the privacy features on iOS, I particularly like the new feature where you can mask your Apple ID's email address to ensure that you don't share your actual email ID to any service that you don't actually want to. That said, there are still a few pain points. I still think iOS is limited in terms of customizability. At least widget sizes should be freely editable on the grid. It'd be really useful. And while notification stacking is better now, there's still a lot of scope for improvement, and it is no match for Android. Now, as for the fork of Android that's running on the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra, also known as One UI, I am now going to get into that, argument about which one is better, iOS or Android. That actually is a personal preference, so let me know what you guys like in the comment section below and why. Now, let me get the basics out of the way when it comes to the performance. The iPhone 13 Pro Max has fantastic 4G network coverage, and the earpiece quality is great too. You get multiple 5G bands. There's support for Wi-Fi 6 as well. The speaker continues to be loud and rich and sounds detailed as well. And the Lightning port, once you use the right tools, can also be used to actually listen to high-res audio using Apple Music. Oh, and let's not forget, with iOS 15, you can also upscale your regular stream of stereo audio to spatial audio. It's all just aces. Coming to A15 Bionic, I ran a few benchmark tests, and the lead that Apple has over Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon chip just keeps extending. There are two cross-platform benchmarking apps that clearly showcase this lead. Take a look at our Geekbench and 3D Mark wildlife tests. The numbers just speak for themselves. Especially the GPU scores on the iPhone 13 Pro Max are just bonkers. In fact, the 5-core GPU on the 13 Pro Max legit scores more points in 3D Mark compared to the 4-core GPU inside the iPhone 13. Now, did you notice that I haven't actually added the Galaxy S21 Ultra with the Exynos 2100 here for comparison because the benchmark scores are not really up to the mark. And when I play any game on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, all these performance gains are clearly visible. For example, I have Grid on Android as well, but not a single Android phone offers the level of graphical fidelity that the iPhone 13 Pro Max can achieve. Plus, playing Project RIP at 120 FPS makes me really want Call of Duty Mobile to be updated to support 120 FPS. Fun fact, the Mi 11 Ultra can already play the game at 120 FPS. I hope that by Christmas we have a much larger roster of 120 FPS games on the iPhone 13 Pro series, because now the devs will definitely have an incentive to upgrade their games, considering the install base will be much larger. I also tried playing for longer durations on the phone to see the sustained performance. Well, it was pretty good. It takes 2 hours of continuously playing Genshin Impact for the iPhone to reduce the brightness, but that's not too bad. But if you do stress the processor, it gets warm around the camera region. However, it is not as bad as the iPhone 12 Pro Max. The 13 Pro Max does run cooler. I'm going out on a limb and saying this, and I know that a lot of people are going to rage comment below. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is the best gaming phone out there, even better than the Asus ROG Phone 5. If there's one reason why I'd recommend the iPhone 13 Pro Max over any other current generation iPhone or previous generation iPhone or any other flagship Android premium smartphone today, it has to be the fantastic battery life that you get with it. I've been chronicling my experience in tweets, and let me put it out there. You can easily get 9 hours 30 minutes to 10 hours of screen on time on this beast on moderate usage. The only concern is that standard wired charging speeds are very slow. It took me 2 hours and 10 minutes to charge the battery from 0% to 100%. Goes without saying that MagSafe is going to be even slower. So, before we move ahead, I quickly wanted to get a word in about news stories that are claiming that the iPhone 13 Pro Max can actually charge at 27 watt speeds. Now, I wanted to replicate that, so I tried with the StuffCool GAN charger, 65 watt GAN charger, and the Oppo 50 watt charger as well. Basically, you just need a configuration which can do 27 watt charging speeds at 9 volt 3 amperes. And unfortunately, both of these also took 2 hours 10 minutes to charge the phone from 0 to 100%. Apparently, with a compatible 27 watt charger, this phone can charge in under 90 minutes, which should be fantastic. Obviously, faster charging speeds are appreciated. Unfortunately, I couldn't replicate that, so I'm going to be testing with a few more chargers, and if I find anything changing, then I will definitely add a comment in the comment section below. Which begs the question, will Apple actually compromise on the slow charging speeds of wireless charging to go for an all portless iPhone? Considering they actually bundled a 5 watt charger for the longest time with their iPhones, I think that's not beyond the realm of consideration. So we are at the end of the review. So one thing's for certain, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is a super expensive phone. It starts at rupees 1,30,000. So you have to absolutely be sure that you want to spend that kind of money. Unless you're Hrithik Roshan, then you can actually go ahead and buy one for yourself, for your family, and your staff as well. Now let's presume you've already made up your mind. Then I would suggest that if you can live with a slightly lower battery life and a slightly smaller size, then actually save the rupees 10,000 and pick up the iPhone 13 Pro instead, which I would have done for sure. Now, as for the Galaxy S21 Ultra, fantastic phone, no doubt. But I would sincerely urge you to find the Snapdragon 888 variant of the phone, because the Exynos 2100 is not as powerful. Also, the camera performance on the Snapdragon 888 variant will undoubtedly be better. Or you know what, you can actually wait for the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, because Samsung has confirmed that it is working with AMD to make Exynos GPUs for mobile, and that's coming next year. So that should be very interesting to see where that phone stands. Or you can just pick up something more expensive like the Galaxy Z Fold 3, which is at the forefront of cutting edge innovation. It's not just a phone, it is also a tablet. It's definitely worth flexing. See what I did there? Whereas the iPhone 13 Pro Max continues to keep it plain and simple. It can't fold, it can't flex. But you know what, I think that it lives up to its Pro moniker this year. Having said that, if you're not someone who likes to tweak every single camera setting or push the limits of the A15 Bionic, you'll be served perfectly all right by an iPhone 13. So make a choice accordingly. By the way, a review for the iPhone 13 is dropping very soon, so stay subscribed. So that is it. That was our full review of the iPhone 13 Pro Max. I hope you guys liked it. Until next time, this is Eshar from My Smart Price signing off. Goodbye and Godspeed, my friends.